History remembers its great cities. Rome with its echoing forums, Babylon with its hanging gardens, Alexandria with its vanished library. Their falls are epic, told and retold. But some cities did not fall to barbarian hordes or erupting volcanoes or decaying time. They were removed. Their names were meticulously scrubbed from ledgers. Their people were rendered ghosts in the narrative of nations. Their memories were folded into the silent pages between chapters of official history. Tonight, we trace the silhouette of one such place. We follow the paper trail of an unmooring. We listen for the echoes in a silence that was deliberately made. This is Shadows of History. In the late 18th century, the city of Königsberg was a vibrant, beating heart on the Baltic Sea, a city of amber and ideas. It was the seat of dukes and kings, the home of philosopher Immanuel Kant, who famously never left its confines yet mapped the cosmos of the human mind. Its docks teemed with timber, grain, and scholars. Its streets were a mosaic of Gothic spires, sturdy Prussian warehouses, and the hum of 1,000 daily lives. For centuries, its people, a blend of German, Lithuanian, Polish, and Jewish cultures, built their world here, believing, as all people do, in the permanence of home. Then came the war. The cataclysm of the Second World War did not spare Königsberg. The brutal Battle of Königsberg in 1945 left it shattered, a skeleton of stone and memory. But the bombs and artillery only set the stage. The true unmaking was yet to come. It would be administrative, clinical, quiet. At the Potsdam Conference in the summer of 1945, with the world still reeling, the map of Europe was redrawn. Königsberg and its surrounding region were ceded to the Soviet Union. A line was drawn, a signature applied. On paper, the city ceased to be German. But a city is more than territory. It is soul, memory, and stone. What followed was not mere rebuilding. It was replacement. The surviving German population, those who hadn't fled or perished, were expelled, not in a chaotic rout, but through a systematic, often brutal process of repatriation to a Germany many had never known. They were given hours, sometimes minutes, to gather what they could carry. They left behind homes, heirlooms, graves. Simultaneously, new people arrived. Soviet citizens from across the vast Union, resettled into empty apartments, assigned to empty shops. They came as pioneers to a broken land, often unaware of the layered history under the rubble they were clearing. In 1946, the city received its new name, Kaliningrad, after Mikhail Kalinin, a Soviet functionary. This was the masterstroke of erasure. Names are the handles of memory. To rename is to reorient reality. Street signs were replaced, stationery was reprinted, history textbooks were revised. The official narrative became one of liberation and a glorious Soviet future built on a terra nullius, a land without a past. The pre-1945 history of the region was relegated to footnotes and specialized texts, if mentioned at all. Königsberg wasn't taught as a lost city. It was framed as a historical aberration, a colonial outpost that had rightly been reclaimed. The mechanisms of this forgetting were meticulous. Archives. Prussian city records were sealed, sent to secret repositories, or destroyed. Monuments. The ruined Königsberg Castle, a symbol of Prussian history, was dynamited in 1968 on orders from Moscow. The rubble was used as foundation for a new, futurist Soviet House of Soviets, which itself was never completed, standing as a grotesque, empty monument to the erasure. The dead. German cemeteries were bulldozed, built over, or left to be consumed by forest. The names on the few remaining stones were weathered into illegibility. The living. The expelled became Vertriebene, the expelled, in West Germany, often met with suspicion. In the GDR, their story was suppressed to maintain socialist brotherhood with the USSR. Their memories became private, painful, and isolated. Today, Kaliningrad is a bustling Russian exclave between Poland and Lithuania. Modern trams run on streets that follow ancient medieval routes. A gleaming new cathedral stands on the island where Kant's tomb is carefully maintained, a solitary token nod to a past otherwise subdued. Most residents live their lives unaware of the precise contours of the ghost beneath their feet. This is the core of the quiet erasure, not oblivion, but overwriting. It wasn't destruction. War does that. This was something different. It was the surgical removal of a city's continuity, the severing of its thread in the tapestry of time. When a city falls in war, its legend grows. When it is erased, it risks becoming a footnote, a curious "did you know?" The violence was not in the act of removal alone, but in the enforced silence that followed, in the refusal to acknowledge that this soil has multiple layers of meaning, that a stone can hold two memories. Yet shadows persist. They emerge in the determined work of archivists and historians, piecing together the palimpsest. They whisper in the family albums of the diaspora, filled with photos labeled Heimat, homeland. They stir in the curiosity of a new generation in Kaliningrad, using the internet to ask, what was here before? Because erasure is never total. Memory, suppressed, flows into cracks, persists in architecture's subconscious, in the shape of a cellar, in the name of a hill that no one can quite explain. The story of Königsberg, Kaliningrad is a stark lesson in the politics of memory. It reveals that history is not just written by the victors, but often unwritten by them. It shows us that a city can be unmade not just with fire, but with a decree. Not just with shouts, but with a relentless bureaucratic silence. And it begs the question, how many other shadows are there? How many places have been quietly folded away, their stories waiting in the archives of other nations or in the fading memories of the last who knew? For when the monuments are gone and the names are changed, the shadow remains. It is the shape of what is missing, and in that shape, there is a story. This has been Shadows of History. I am your host. Until next time, listen for the echoes.